Hey everyone, I want to encourage you today again with something fabulous, a beautiful, fantastic thought. You are glorious. You know, Jesus died and rose again, and it talks in Ephesians 4:4 about how we are promised this future glory. Someday, for those of us who have relationship with Jesus, who have loved him on this earth, we will be invited into a place where we get to see God's glory without any filter. We will reflect his glory perfectly without anything hindering us or getting in the way. And that is something that we can look to and be really excited about, this future glory. But not only did Jesus offer us a future hope and glory, in eternity, he also offers us today a glory to reflect. Listen to what it says in 2 Corinthians 3:18. It says, "We can be mirrors that brightly reflect the glory of the Lord. And as the Spirit of the Lord works within us, we become more and more like him." So we have the Spirit of God in us. We are walking with his Spirit, learning more about who he is and who he's made us to be, so that the more we understand who God is, the more we will understand who we are, and we will reflect him. The clearer we're seeing in this mirror, right, of who God is, the clearer we will be able to reflect back the beauty and the glory of the Lord. And it's promised for us here on this earth now, not just in the future. And it's beautiful. That's a wonderful promise. The issue is it's not easy. Being a Christian doesn't mean that life is going to just be a piece of cake and we get to sit back and coast. There is a very real enemy who is up against us, and he is pressing us on all sides. He's trying to crush us. He's trying to break us. He's trying to get us to yell, "I quit." Listen to what it says further in 2 Corinthians in chapter 4, picking up in verse 6. It says, "For God, who said, 'Let there be light,' in the darkness, has made us understand that it is his brightness of his glory that is seen in the face of Jesus Christ." So Jesus himself, I've talked in the past about how he modeled what we are. He was like the first example of walking with the Spirit. And so he reflected the glory and the brightness of the Lord. And goes on in verse 7 to say, "But this precious treasure, this light and power that now shines within us." So see, we're shining, it's happening, it's current. We are shining. His light and power within us is held in a perishable container that is in our weak bodies. Everyone can see that the glorious power within must be from God and is not our own. We are pressed on every side, we are pressed on every side by troubles, but not crushed and broken. We are perplexed because we don't know why things happen as they do, but we don't give up and quit. We are hunted down, but God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep going. And that is the glorious living that we have been invited to. Yes, there's going to be things that press up against us, make us feel like, oh, it'd be easier to quit in this moment and throw in the towel. But the glory of the Lord, part of it is that he's with us. And he is speaking in our ear and he's saying, "Get up, you can get up. Don't stay down. You aren't crushed. You aren't broken. We can do this." And he strengthens us, right? You see, the enemy, he was made in a type of glory. And it talks about him in Ezekiel and what he was like when he was created and fulfilling the purpose in which God created him for. And it was glorious. It was beautiful. But he didn't want that. He wanted to separate himself from God. And when we separate ourselves from God, it's a very dark place. And the enemy's in the darkest of all places. He is actually the opposite of everything that God stands for and is. And the enemy has reduced himself to killing, stealing, and destroying. In Genesis, the curse that God spoke over the enemy's life for his involvement in trying to corrupt man and woman and being a part of their disobedience to God was that he was told by God, you will eat dust the rest of your days. So Satan now, separated from God by choice, completely corrupt and full of darkness. There is no light in him at all. He's watching as these sons and daughters that God created, that carry his image, carry the image of God, something that Satan never did. They have an outstanding glory. We have an outstanding glory that the enemy never was invited into. And he's watching. He does not want these sons and daughters to wake up and know the glory that is in them. And he certainly doesn't want it to shine brightly. And so everything in him wants to get those sons and daughters to focus on this perishable container, because that perishable container is dust, and that is what he has been reduced to eating. Us, but the us of us that is not going to remain. These perishable containers, these bodies that we're carrying the glory of the Lord in, are going to die, and they're going to return to dust. So Satan's wanting us to focus on that thing that's temporary, that thing that doesn't really matter in the long run. Because if we're focused on the thing that doesn't really matter, we won't be focused on who we are, and we're certainly not having our eyes on the Lord and beholding his glory and then reflecting it quite naturally. And so what I want to encourage you with today is you can tell the enemy, eat my dust. Because, friend, you are more than dust. That dust is going away. It really doesn't matter. We're going to be given a new container. When Jesus returns, we're promised this new container that can handle the glory of the Lord and withstand eternity, okay? So the things of this world that are pressing us and making us feel like we want to quit, that are trying to knock us down, we can get up again. And we can tell the enemy, eat my dust. My dust doesn't matter. What matters is that I am a son and a daughter of the living God, and I shine his glory brightly. The Lord himself has prepared a beautiful table for you to dine. And he invites you to come and sit down at this table that he has prepared before the enemy. The enemy is forced to stand and watch as you come in to a relationship with the Lord, where you pull up your chair and you sit down and you feast. And I want to encourage you, you feast, friend. You sit down, you take in the beauty and the glory of the Lord so that you can shine it brightly and reflect it back beautifully. You eat of his bread of life. You dine with him and fellowship with him, and you rest in that place. That's the place of rest. It's not a coasting. It's just resting and being who you were created to be, which is to shine his glory brightly and fantastically. So tell the enemy today, eat my dust. My dust doesn't matter. I am made of more things than just this dust. The thing that lasts, that remains, that is truly me, is reflecting the beauty and the glory of the Lord, and I shine brightly. Be blessed, guys.